Hi, we're Harriet and Mauro, and 4 years ago we bought this abandoned 4-acre farm in the hills of eastern Spain. After getting the little stone cottage more or less habitable, we moved in and began restoring our land, growing our own food, accumulating animals, and getting stuck into the first renovation project we'd ever done. 4 acres, or 1.6 hectares, is a pretty big space to take care of when you don't have a tractor or big machinery. Yet, last year we found ourselves beginning the search for some additional acreage for livestock. After weighing up a couple of options, we decided that the best option for us was this additional roughly 4,000 square metre or 1 acre field which adjoins our land on the eastern side, very close to the house. We recently completed the purchase after going on a bit of a wild goose chase to track down the owner and then jumping through a whole host of legal hoops. You can watch the full story here in our previous video, but in this video I wanted to tell you about what happened next and show you around properly. So today I'm going to make a start on clearing some of the rubbish from the new land. There's stuff everywhere, all sorts of different material, bits of concrete waste, bricks, building waste, stuff like this, plastics, old bits of tile. I'm also worried about the rubble and things like that because that's not really going to do any harm. It's just in amongst the stones really. I'm looking more for all the plastic, all the stuff that's sort of falling apart and degrading in the sun and just really contaminating the area. This looks like an old fridge. I'm super scared of this stuff inside. I don't know what it is, but it looks toxic. So I was trying to keep a little pile of stuff that was cool that I found, or interesting, or useful. There's only one thing in the pile so far. It's this tiny little door. Just thought it was quite cute. Might be interesting to use in some project at some point. Now these are quite cool. Surely I can do something with them. Okay, that was my last plastic bag, so I guess that's it for today. As well as clearing the area around the edge of the field, which had clearly been used as a dumping ground by the previous owner of our house, there is a lot of dead wood in this field. Some of it is still on the trees, but a lot of it is also just lying around. We think the quantity of firewood we'll get out of these terraces over the next few years will equate to a significant saving compared to buying firewood in, which we sometimes do, and it will definitely help offset the cost of the land. So we also began the job of chopping it all up and bringing it over to our wood shelter, at least the stuff that was most in the way. So that brings us on to the next job, the access into this plot.
By the way, look at these stairs. I did not have much faith in these when I first put them together. They just looked like a pile of rocks. But I threw some concrete on top and they're starting to take shape.
A while back, I cleared this area of our land alongside the edge of the stone wall which separates the two properties, thinking that it would be handy to be able to jump over the wall here for easy access down to the animals that we're going to keep in this new field. You can also access this field around the back of our house, as you can see here, but it is a bit of a trek. I tried my hand at throwing some rocks around in an attempt to build some rustic steps. Let's just say I ended up with a slightly neater and definitely more stable pile of rocks, but as you saw in the last clip, I was hoping they could be turned into something slightly more practical and attractive with a ridiculous quantity of concrete. So I got my mixing trough and got to work.
Sturdy steps. Why are we moving the pastera down?
And yes, the donkey you can see in the background there is our donkey, and yes, he is in the new field already. More about that later.
Alright, that's one pastera emptied, 3 bags of cement. I do have a rough idea of what I'm aiming for. I've got something in mind, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. I mean, I've got to trust the process and see what comes out. So I have harvested a lot of carob already. I've done this entire tree basically, and that has given us this bucket of 350 litres, something like that, which is quite a lot. More pods just keep falling on the floor, so I mean I could collect more, but at this point it's not that efficient to carry on collecting from this tree. I mean I probably will anyway, because there's some patches where there's quite a lot, so it's just easy to grab a handful. I usually fill up this little plant pot, take it around with me and fill it up really quickly, and then once I've got this filled I go and tip it into a bigger container. Luna loves eating carob as well, don't you? But yeah, I'm not sure really where to store the rest of the carob. I've got a couple more trees that I could pick from and we could definitely get a lot more, but I'm just not really sure where to put them. They're really good to feed the donkey, and obviously there'll be a second donkey pretty soon, so the more we can get the better. I have been eyeing up this barrel that was in amongst all the rubbish here. I'm not sure what was in it, but I'm going to have a look and see if it looks remotely clean and usable. It's a bit deep, but it's probably alright for Malro. You can't really tell what was in it at all, it's all just rusted. I think it'll be fine to use. More rubbish. You eating the wild asparagus? Oh, good job. Didn't think you were going to like that. Is it not a bit prickly? Yeah, there's a lot of flies here, aren't there? All the good carob are in here. It's quite awkward to harvest from, but definitely worth it. Look how juicy these are. What have we got here? You need a fly fringe.
With the access kind of improved and the land tidied up, you would think it was time to start working on the new fencing and shelter for the donkey so that we could bring him over to his new space. However, before we could get that far, he had actually taken things into his own hands.
¿Ves cómo se ha metido? Está... Oh dear, what have you done? What have you done? Está medio dentro, medio fuera. Parece bastante contento. Seguramente ha encontrado algo para comer ahí.
Tendremos que cortar una parte.
Sí, yo creo
la
que
parte
sí.
de arriba, creo.
Sí.
Yeah, we cut it because there was just no way of doing it. Like
It was totally stuck.
oh yeah. Plus, also, the fence was so deformed that even if you got him out of there, it wouldn't be useful anyways. So it wasn't like in a repairable state.
Oh, it's actually so nice to have him close. You can see him from the kitchen window actually, which is really cool. There we go. The kitchen just over there. That one's not even in the ground at all anymore.
With the donkey in his new mini paddock, we urgently needed to get to work on a shelter for him and getting him properly set up over there, so the first job was to clear the site we had chosen for his new shelter. This conveniently flat area is quite near the back entrance to the field, so it's very handy for us to come in, and it's quite protected here in this site with the trees around it, and the back wall will be on the north side to provide extra wind and rain protection.
So this is the little area I was thinking for the hay and straw storage. I don't know if you can see, but there's just a little, tiny little like 2-foot terrace wall just here. And this is where we were going to put the donkey enclosure. So the back wall of it would be up against here. My thinking is just that the roof of the donkey enclosure could overhang here and we could extend it a little bit more just to give a little bit more protection. I don't even need to do much clearing here because once I put some pallets down, that'll just flatten everything and nothing will grow up through that because it'll all be dark and underneath a load of straw. There's a tiny little wild olive tree just coming up there. I might just take that down and cut a few branches just to make the access easier, but I think this is going to be a pretty good location. Let's see how many we've got of these. So I've just been out to get the next set of pieces that we need for our donkey paddock. I've already got a lot more of the cabling that we're going to need, but I needed a lot more posts as well for the perimeter. Also got a lot of straw. That's for another project, which I will show you another time. So I just pulled the generator out of the shed to pump some water up the hill to our deposits that are up the hill that are gravity feeding our irrigation and our house. We have plenty of water at the moment with the recent rain, so we can pump from our second largest deposit, which is actually the only one that we're filling at the moment, and we can pump it up the hill into our IBCs. But I just need to keep popping up the hill and checking how it's going, moving the pipe from one deposit to another. They are connected at the bottom, so they do like flow into each other, but they don't flow into each other as quickly as the pipe at the top fills them, if you know what I mean. So I just have to keep a bit of an eye on that, and it's just easier to do that if I'm near them. Well, I'm not that near them, but I'm as near as I'll ever be when I'm doing any work on the homestead. Right, our materials are all gathered. If I can get them into the ground easily, I'm hoping to use one green fiberglass stick every other post because, well, I've got them and it just saves on the rebar. I've got 50 rebar and I think I've got about 40 of these in total. They're not all here. Hopefully the ground is nice and soft after a bit of rain. Got a few obstacles in the way. But yeah, that's where the shelter is going, and yeah, hopefully the plan is to get all the way around this top terrace, or at least as far as I can, and get the line up and release the donkey from his mini paddock into a bigger space. There'll be some bigger trees with bigger canopies kind of enclosed and overhanging the space, so he can at least shelter there if it rains, and in the meantime we'll carry on working on his actual shelter. So this is where we'll have the gate for the electric fence system. This is a bit too tall for me to comfortably... I need to bring a little step ladder or something. That's annoying, this is just like very slightly too tall for me to get this up. Plastic ones are not going to go in. I can tell that already, just based on how hard that was to get in. I very much doubt it. Okay, well this one is going in. Okay, I've done like a quarter of the terrace, but I think I've done the hardest part because there were a lot of obstacles around here and along the back wall. And then I'm coming over here, that's where I've had to leave it. There's still this whole area up there to do if I want to do the whole terrace. Over in this corner, I have gone around this big pile of dead wood, which I think is fine. The reason I've done that is because I really wanted to include this little space here. Let me climb over the wood so I can show you. Yeah, this little section here, in the future, I want to put a gate here so that we can open up into another area. This is a little entranceway into the lower terrace. So just coming down here, we actually have another huge space available here, which we could extend into if we wanted to. I think they call it like a paddock paradise. This idea of like extendable modular paddocks which can change over time, and you can open up sections, close off sections. It's a horse thing, but I guess it works for donkeys as well, just to give them a little bit more stimulation and make their lives a little bit more interesting, so they're not always in the same space, and I guess to let the ground regenerate a little bit from them trampling over it. So I've got such a lot of space here. That will be the long-term plan, but for now, getting just this top terrace fenced would be great. I really don't want to stop because it's really addictive, and I really wanted to see Moses in here today and let him out into the new area, but I just don't have time. Rebar here for tomorrow. The rebar is great. It just goes through anything. I was able to use a lot of the green sticks, but anywhere that I couldn't, the metal one I think it just broke through stone. It was really good. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing this tomorrow and hopefully finishing it. Just one final thing to do now. Okay, so I was pumping water for about an hour. We had about 7 empty tanks and they're all now about half full. So I think I need to pump for another hour or so tomorrow to fill them up. And yeah, we'll be back to full capacity up here. Alright, let's try and finish this job today and let the donkey explore his new enclosure. Super excited to see how much he enjoys it. I think he's going to love it, so let's get to it. We are so close. That's where we started. Probably about 3 more posts to do, I reckon. Okay, we're done. Now I need this specific piece, which for some reason is the only one of those pieces I can find. So I'm going to close up the outer fence, dismantle this, take this piece and put it where it needs to go. Oh, that was off already. Okay, let's release you. Hello. How was your nap?
Good nap.
Do you want to come and see a very happy donkey?
Yeah, I've seen a bit from this side. You have to enter on the other side, right?
Well, it's not turned on at the moment, so you can go down. You can go down this way. Tofu, what are you doing?
Where's the door?
Well, it's right in front of you. I just haven't made it yet.
Oh, okay.
Tofu's confused to see the donkey in a new place.
Oh, donkey, you have so much space.
Yeah, and this is just a fraction. Like, there's so much more. I didn't even do to the end of the terrace. I did to, like, the pine tree. There's a bit of a obstacle situation right in front of the gate.